You see this final budget, $2,083 a month, financially independent, retired. But I'm not gonna lie, getting here was a hot mess. I tried and failed with six budgeting systems. Some crushed my soul, some drowned me in spreadsheets, others just didn't fit life after work. So today I'm showing you all six: what worked, what flamed out, and how they led to the one $2,083 a month budget system that actually sticks. Let's start with the first, the zero based budget. So, first up, we have the zero based budget. The idea is simple: every single dollar has a job. Income minus expenses must equal zero. A lot of people use the You Need a Budget app to make this easier. What worked for me, it showed you where the money should go. What didn't work so well, it was rigid. It felt like work, constantly micromanaging my money. I don't like interacting with my money every day. And so every unexpected night out or spontaneous road trip meant reopening the budget, reallocating funds, and just feeling this crippling sense of restriction. What I did learn was rigid systems don't work when your life is fluid. Budget system number two, the 50/30/20 rule. So then I tried the 50/30/20 rule, where it's 50% needs, 30% wants, 20% savings. What worked? The simplicity of the percentages was really appealing. It gave me a mental framework right away. So you had something to start from. What didn't work? It's clean and simple, but it didn't fit my post fire life. It assumed I had wants in the traditional sense. My needs aren't what they used to be, and I'm not really saving for retirement anymore. I'm living it, right? So this one just didn't reflect my new priorities. So the lesson here is formulas don't always match freedom. Budget system number three, I became the minimalist martyr. This one was purely self inflicted, partially induced by the pandemic. There was no travel, no social life. So I also decided to have no more extras. It was just spreadsheets and silence. By doing this, my spending dropped to a ridiculous $13,000 a year. I think that is below the poverty line. If not, it's very close. So that was good. But so what worked was I proved to myself that I could live lean if I ever needed to. What didn't work so well, it made early retirement and frugality feel like punishment, and that's not what I wanted. I was chasing freedom. So lesson I learned was being frugal is smart, but being miserable is not. Budget system number four is the complex spreadsheet monster. That's what we're going to call it. So, next, I went full fire nerd. I love data, I love spreadsheets. This one, I tried the spreadsheet with a ton of categories. Every expense was logged. It was just data overload. So what worked? It gave me data, which I love. What didn't work so well? It gave me too much data. I never thought I'd say that, but here we are, friends. It was just difficult to find insight really easily. And if you're spending so much time inputting data, you don't want to then spend additional time trying to make sense of it. So, what I learned from that experiment was simplicity is key. You want to focus on key categories. So, for a lot of people, it's the big three: housing, food, and transportation. For me, it was pretty much just housing and daily spending. Next up is the envelope method. So, with the envelope method, I feel it's great for kind of the scarcity mindset, which is really powerful when you're trying to pull yourself out of debt or you're aggressively saving for something small like an emergency fund or something like that. But I wasn't trying to survive anymore. I was trying to recalibrate. So it worked in that it made spending more visible, but what didn't work was that it was time consuming. You have to carry cash if you actually do the actual cash envelope system. Also, it seems like the envelope system forces you to focus on limits when I needed to focus more on fluidity and flexibility and where I could responsibly deploy my capital for life experiences, whether they're good, bad, or unexpected. So I learned that tracking is great. I'm a big fan of tracking expenses, but micromanaging is not. I didn't like it in work, and I certainly don't like it in my finances. Also, the key thing with that, I think what makes it work is that visibility is important. But for me, abundance needs a different lens. So the last one on the list was just full blown, just use credit cards, right? Just use credit cards era. So finally, there's the I'll just use my credit card for everything and pay it off. It sounds chill. It's pretty easy. Some people like it, especially if you get cash back or points, until you realize you have no idea where the money actually went. My spending crept up and I started getting that like low grade anxiety every time a statement hit. I really do not like paying money back. Like, I don't like it. I don't care if it's a dollar I owe a friend or if it's $5,000 I owe a credit card company. Like, it just burns my soul. It feels like you're spending the money twice, in my opinion. So I get the trap of not wanting to pay the full balance and just pay the minimum. I was watching somebody's video recently and they were describing how they got into, like $50,000 worth of consumer debt because they were trying to play their credit card travel hacking game, thinking they'll just meet the minimum spend, pay off the balance, except they
Feel
just
like I have a
never
little bit of,
did.
when it comes to
Even though
credit
they
cards, I have what I call like a monopoly money mindset. It's almost like it's not real money, right? Like I know that it's real money. I'm an adult. I know it's real money, but what we know and how we behave are sometimes incongruent. There's some cognitive dissonance in the things we know and the things we actually do. And when it comes to my behavior, sometimes I act like I have a monopoly money mindset, like it's not real money, even though I know it is. It's like I'm gonna swipe now and I'm gonna deal with it later. Here's what's funny though: when later comes and it's time to pay down the credit card, because everybody that decides to play the points game has the intentions of I'm gonna spend money on this card and I'm gonna pay it off at the end of the month. That's what you're supposed to do if you're gonna play the points game. But when it came time for later to pay it off, I'd be like, oh, I could do something else with this money.
and at first glance, you might think, oh, I'm better than that. But no, I'm not. I was not. So yeah, it's very tempting to see the full balance and just want to pay the minimum. So unequivocally, this was not for me. What did work, it is pretty convenient just to have one card and just swipe it for everything and just put all your bills on there. So I guess in that sense, it's easy, as in, it's very easy to swipe that card and feel like hashtag you got money. But for me, what didn't work, honestly, all of it. All of it. I'll say it again. A credit card only plan is not the plan for me now. It wasn't then, and it's never gonna be. To me, it's the fastest way to consumer debt. I'm sure there's people out there, and you might be one of them. They're way more disciplined than me, but yeah, that just didn't work for me. I guess if I had to take away a lesson, it would be that freedom and flexibility doesn't mean blind spots. You still need visibility. So cash flow visibility is non-negotiable for me. I will overspend if everything is just on the card. So there you have it, 6 attempts, 6 failures. But by understanding why each of these popular methods didn't work for my specific fire life, I was finally able to build a system that gave me maximum freedom with minimum effort. So, in the end, after tracking my historical spending for a while, now I generally bucket expenses into 2 or 3 large buckets: my core expenses and then the lifestyle travel bucket. Sometimes I'll have a buffer, and that's sort of the third bucket. So, for the most part, I use a debit card for my allowance and flex up or down for other lifestyle and travel expenses. Here's an example of what my 2026 budget looks like and how I make $2,083 a month work without spreadsheets taking over my life.
Bloqueamos a bunch, everybody. Bye.